Yep.
I can't believe it, but they don't want to admit it, but I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. We're going to talk about some news. We got to.
Close enough.
Yeah, we're going to get close enough. That was you. Don't do that again. Thank you. When you have people that say...
Educated, I love the poorly educated.
I love the poorly educated. Oh, hold on. No. We got a real issue on our hands, folks. Real issue on our hands. You know, we got people who love the poorly educated.
Oh, my man.
That worship the oligarchy.
And the enemy is the oligarchy.
Jacob, good news. Might be getting a place if I can get 800 by the end of the month. Amazing. It's going to happen. It will happen, Jacob. It's going to happen. By one way or another. May God ordain the $800 to you. That's what we'll do. I hear you, man. Jacob, I hear you. It's been tough. You know, at my work today, I work in the food sector, and they told me, you can't wear a mask anymore. I was like, we just had a dude who was very sick with that thing that was around in 2020 just the other day. And I like to keep people protected, you know. But I guess this is Joe Rogan's America, folks. Joe Rogan's America, you know. And it's all about looks. It's not about what's up here. It's about how things look. And then Jacob, the electric company came today to shut off the electric. So I feel you, man. I feel you. Things are tough, you know. And it's only getting worse. It's so crazy. One of the news stories, I want to play some Whoopi Goldberg for you. But one of the news stories, if you haven't read this, I'll link it down below. Brendumb Carr, the guy who, you know, went after Jimmy Kimmel because he made a joke that they didn't like, had nothing to do with anything besides them saying, we're not going to accept people infringing on our feelings. We're going to infringe on your First Amendment because you infringed on our feelings. That was the whole thing. FCC chair Brendumb Carr is a stooge for Trump, and not like one of the good stooges from the Three Stooges or the band The Stooges, but like, you know, a goof stooge. That's what I think we call him. Goof stooge. And this dude is eliminating a thing that Biden, his FCC, passed a new rule that would help bring free Wi-Fi access to school kids who struggle to do their homework online. That's only a good thing, you know? I don't even understand how this like could have two sides. Never mind politics. I don't understand how taking Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi from kids, could be anything but bad, you know? There's rural towns, and this is the weirdest part about it. It's like these are the places that voted for Trump. The rural towns, the rural juror, these rural towns that voted for Trump are going to get, Trump's going to take away their free Wi-Fi access. And in today's day and age, which if you've ever heard me talk about, in the year of our Lord 2025, what should be happening is we should be figuring out how everyone in America can get free Wi-Fi, you know? Screw these internet companies. If you need Wi-Fi to do your homework, if you need Wi-Fi to do your job, then that becomes a utility. It's no more a luxury. I get it. Back when there was dial-up and you had to put the AOL, not AIM, the AOL online disc in, you know? You had 400 sitting around your house because everybody got one in a magazine. They kept mailing them to you. And you were like, I get it, man. I don't have a computer. I can only have AOL so many times. And AOL just kept sending you those discs. I get it. Back then, when you'd hear the, you know, when it was like the murder of a robot to get online, I understand it was a luxury back then. But in the year of our Lord 2025, it's more of a essential utility. And it's, look out. Thank you for being here and speaking up. Well, look out, thank you. That means a lot because we get a lot of people who are trolls in the chat and they just say shit like, make those kids work for their Wi-Fi. They should be getting out of school and going to McDonald's to work. And it's like, why? None of the rich people you worship worked ever. Darren, God forbid the kids have access to internet. Darren, this and listen. So what I was saying is look out, thank you, because today's just been a horrible day. Horrible day. Trying to shut off my electric. My bosses are trying to tell me I can't wear a mask to protect the people who keep the food safe that I deal with. It's just coming at me from all angles, man. And you know what it's all about? It's all about control. They want to control you. They want dumb, obedient people that say, yes, sir, yes, sir. And when you start asking questions like, why? Explain to me why. How does this make sense? Please infer more to me. Please educate me on the reasoning behind these somewhat stupid and idiotic decisions. And I saw this coming in 2015. Yep. I was a trophy wife living it up, and I left my teen kids. No way I was going to sit back and watch it happen. I'm so confused by that comment. So wait, back in 2015, you saw this happening. And please elaborate. Please elaborate. If they can barely read, they can barely use logic about real issues. Exactly, Darren. And this breaks my heart, no matter how hard times get from me, like today, there are days as an adult and as a parent, you just sit down, you're like, fuck, man, I'm doing my best. I'm really, and this is what I teach my kids. I'm like, there are just some days where all you can do is your best. You show up, you go in swinging, you do your best, and sometimes your best ain't enough, and not enough people hear that. In America, it's like, well, if your best wasn't enough, then you should have double bests and two bests, and you should work an extra best job, and it's like, fuck you. Seriously, man. We ain't looking for, all expenses paid vacations. We're not looking to launch $1 billion meme coin. We're looking to fucking keep the lights on and not lose our homes, and there's people like, oh, this is political. We got to dunk on them. And it's like, you asshole. Don't be like that. Okay. There are kids involved. You can't pretend last year like you gave a shit about the Epstein files. And then this year you're like, screw them kids. Don't let them have the free Wi-Fi. It's like, well, do you care about the kids or was it just dunking on the libs, And then I see the media landscape is so polluted. Oh, hold on. Does the class-based societies, it was going to drown all in debt. Oligarchy of what it does to class-based societies. Yes, look out. Yes. Sorry, I got little creatures, little hyenas, biting on my toes. Oh, and now what is going on? The dogs. Hold on. Hey, how did you do that? Oh my God. I have bad news, folks. I have very bad news. Is everybody listening? I have very bad news. My cat has learned how to open doors. That was shut. And unless it's getting helped by a ghost, which, listen, my parents are dead. I haven't seen my brother in 10 years. I have really no family except for one brother. A close friend of mine died last year. The rest of my friends died when I was in my 20s. So I got a lot of ghosts around me, a lot of spirits. But I don't think that was one of the spirits that just opened the door. Because I went to see how that door just opened. I thought, because the dog, if she hits it hard enough, and the cat was sitting there. The goddamn cats are like the raptors. My cat is like a raptor. It just figured out how to open the door. And I have no idea how that happened. Unless, listen, there are ghosts always around me. And my dad, I could use some fucking help right now because I'm mentally cracking. All right, we're going to talk about they're taking free Wi-Fi from poor kids in rural areas. The people who voted for Trump, I got a lot of stuff on my plate, but I got to take time out of my day to say, you're an asshole if you're doing this, Brendumb Carr. What do I got to do? Challenge you to a cage fight? I don't even fight. I'm a lover, man. I'd rather, make some jokes. But Brendan, winner takes all, what do I got to challenge you to? Please, Brendan, let these poor kids who voted for or their parents voted for Trump, let them have free Wi-Fi access. We need them to be smarter. My Christ. Darren, honestly, your stream is a good reminder for me to keep that stuff in my conscious mind so I don't get lost being separated. I got that dog in me. Darren, it's crazy how much lost people our age have these days. It's, you know, I'll fight him for it, Darren. Tower guy. My brother changed those fancy locks and I taught his cat how to open the door. That is hilarious. Listen, cats are so much smarter than you think, okay? Let me just say that. For somebody who hadn't had a cat in a long time, and then, you know, you get one and you're like, God damn, these animals they're so smart. They're gonna outlive us. Why take the Wi-Fi from the poor kids? Oh, I'm glad you asked, Jennifer. Let's get to the next slide. This is what, this is the part where, you know, part of my soul is dying inside, because it's not about, you know, can we afford it? We just sent $20 billion to Argentina. We can afford this shit, you know? And that's what I was saying earlier. The media landscape is filled with the Paul Bet Davidsons, Patty Bet David, these other grifters. I keep coming across them, man. And they're like, the left wants us gone. And it's like, no, man. You know, I'm getting into this comment war with these fragile minds. Because I'm like, listen, man, as somebody who's been boxed in as a leftist, I want us to all have health care. I don't want medical debt. I don't want school debt. I want poor kids to have free Wi-Fi. You know, I don't give a shit. If you're a Republican, I don't care. You know, what I care about is how you behave in public. And whether you support your neighbors, who is all of us, you know, having the bare necessities. And most of them don't, because they think, you know, because Donald Trump, I don't even have the thing up. Sorry, I'm ill prepared today. I'm probably going to go live later. Before being in my head, I said, let me talk about something. God damn, my ears keep ringing all day long. So bad. My ears are like deafening ringing. Sorry. I'm all over the place. I get it, guys. I'm having a very emotional day, you know? I know the manosphere is terrified of that, but it's an emotional day. As a parent, as somebody who's worked my ass off my whole life and never got ahead, as somebody who has constantly fought for my neighbors and for others and always tried to treat people with respect and always try to protect children. You're living in a day and age, Jennifer, where if you read right here, Carr's claim that this program is illegal. They're just saying it's illegal. They're not saying, oh, we can't fund it. They're just saying this is illegal for the government to be able to set up free Wi-Fi for kids in rural areas so they can do their homework. Why? Because they bet that the Trump-stock Supreme Court and Appeals Court will literally do any anti-regulatory action that Republicans and corporations don't like. That's what it is. That's why you saw Elon Musk, Google guy, Facebook guy, Zuckerberg, who else was Jeff Bezos. That's why you saw them all at his bar mitzvah. What was it? Inauguration, whatever it was. Doesn't matter. His quinceañera, was it his quinceañera? I'm pretty sure it was his quinceañera on January 20th. That's why all those rich people were there. Because the American public wouldn't want to see all the titans of industry at the president's thing, donating and pledging money to him, because what are they doing that for? Maybe they'll get something in return. Maybe they'll be like, oh, we don't like those regulations, get rid of them. And here's the worst news. There's a lot of that libertarian free market think tank guys, companies, and extraction class folks who would very much like it to the focus to remain exclusively on the aspects Carr they don't like, primarily free speech. But Carr has been busy taking an absolute hatchet to the entirety of the FCC consumer protections, robocall enforcement, media consolidation limits. He's derailing useful cybersecurity programs, prevent longstanding racism, broadband deployment. If you comprehend what all that means, it means that their stooge, this Brendumb Carr, is basically going after anything that these huge billion-dollar, trillion-dollar corporations don't like. Anything that's going to benefit the people. Because Trump don't care. You know, meanwhile, you get the media landscape. I don't even remember the dude in the comments. I seen his video. It said, it was like the left wants us gone. And it was even more harshly labeled than that. And I was like, this is an unreal grift you're running right now. Like an unreal grift. And I got all these people commenting. The funniest comment I got in reply was like, again, another leftist doesn't know the definition of a word. And he was trying to explain like grift means you make money. And I was like, oh, how stupid this person. I didn't respond to him and I won't, but I was like, this poor person, he doesn't understand that the hundreds of thousands of views that this dude is getting by clickbaiting you to think, you know, to do this class division. Oh, they want us gone. We're going to answer the call. All this tough guy bullshit. I was like, he's making a ton of money off that. And when he's selling clothing as well, that's what you call a grift. And it's horrifying, man. How many people like Patty David, Tim Pool, just seeing these people, like their arguments are so stupid too. Because it's like, they'll talk about 20 million going, or they won't, I don't think they're addressing the 20 million going to Malay, but they'll talk about how Argentina's libertarian free society is the best ever, where it's failing. You know, our tax dollars are bailing it out. And they'll think stuff like this, you know, is good for the country. But I got news for you folks. We've been doing stuff like this since Reagan, maybe since Nixon. We've been doing the deregulating, let the businesses have their run of things, and that's why we're here. That's why the federal minimum wage hasn't moved since 2009. And at this point, there's no argument against it. Congress has got raises. And if people go, oh, well, states are doing it on their own. Well, then shouldn't we just have the federal minimum wage bump up if states are already doing it? Like, it's just so absolutely bizarro world. How many dum-dums are out there just wanting to hear, you know, I don't know if it's like masochistic. I don't know. They just want to hear about their own demise, but packaged in some rich guy's clothing, you know, like some rich guy that doesn't understand how healthcare works in America because he just probably has a doctor on call. Never had to work an hourly job, you know, because he ran a multi-level marketing scheme, you know, had rich parents, like is not in the trenches of what it's like to work, get off work, and then have to go to work again, and you're doing it all just to fucking eat and keep a roof over your head. And these people are acting like, oh, no. We need more corporations being able to control things, you know? And I even hear these words like, oh, the collective, or the left wants, you know, like they freak out about government-run grocery stores, rent control. It's like, where do you fucking live? How are these people watching this being like, yeah, this is totally cool, man? Why? I guess because it's Biden. Right? That's why they're like, oh yeah, we got to undo it. Because like Obamacare helped a lot of people with the pre-existing conditions. But because Obama was in the name, you know, this is literally all about how things look and no content whatsoever. It's like, it's just about the looks. Oh. What are these people? What are these people? Look, it's so funny, man. They're eating your pets. They're eating your pets. Thank you. Yeah. It's always so amazing. And it's got to be bots. It's got to be bots, man. Because I refuse to believe that there are real grown adults being like, no, everything's going awesome in America right now. You know? Like, I'm paid the most I've ever been paid. Groceries cost the least. You know, it's simple to buy a house. Like, you know, if I wanted to go to school, no problem. I can afford it. If I did get sick, I would have no worries about that because there wouldn't be huge premium increases. It's just absolutely befuddling that these people will still be like, Joe Biden. Who cares? It's over. I don't even want to defend him, but man, the economy was much better then than it is right now. We didn't have the military deployed to places. We didn't have a president bumping meme coins. But I just refuse to think that these are actual serious conversational pieces, you know? It's really exhausting. It's so exhausting. Come back tomorrow, buddy. Come back tomorrow. But I don't know who could be against this. I truly can't figure out a program that brings free Wi-Fi to poor kids in rural areas who struggle to do their homework online, probably because they can't afford it. And it's only going to get harder for kids. But this is just, you know, this is a heartbreaker. This is one of those things where this is what Trump is doing. This is Trump's guy, Brendumb Carr, the guy that tried to get Jimmy Kimmel off the air for no other reason than like it hurt their feelings that Jimmy Kimmel was making jokes. You know, it's the most sensitive, fragile. It's using fragility, or it's using like, pearl clutching as a defense, you know? And it's just remarkable that people can't see the hypocrisy of, you know, when the Republicans pearl clutch. Oh, how dare you? How dare you not mourn properly? It's like, yeah, you guys don't either. That's why we're America. Because if we don't give a shit, we don't give a shit. And we don't have to, you know? I refuse to have federally forced empathy because, you know, you want to, you know, go for a power grab after. It's bananas, man. Bananas. It's just like, I get people in here all the time that are like, oh, how dare you? And it's like, just, you know, shut up. Just shut up. This is stupid. It's not, you know, the argument that people make, free speech has consequences. No, he didn't violate any free speech things. He didn't violate any FCC things. This is a mafia RICO-run government where they extort people or they try to silence any critics. And this is another one of those things. You know, there's a whole reason why the president specifically said,
Educated, I love the poorly educated.
he loves the poorly educated, and he will work to ensure the poorly educated are for generations here in America. Because as an adult, man, you cannot, you know, think in any way, shape, or form removing free Wi-Fi from kids in rural, poor areas helps our country. They want to come back in. There's no other side to this. There's no other side. And this article, you can read it down below. You know, they explain, like, in these areas, this is like Trump country, you know, Trump voters. And they voted to hurt themselves, you know, and I'll still fight for them because I think, you know, it's important. I also think the Wi-Fi should be a national utility. You know, we shouldn't be having to read about Verizon, AT&T, these CEOs making bang for their buck off of a utility that we need. It's ridiculous. But I really don't think this helps us. I don't think this helps the next generation. And it's sad, man. It's sad. But again, this is because there's one war and it's not a culture war like Tim Pool wants you to believe. It's not. Sorry, Tim. Hate to break it to you. I know you're focused on the culture war and how the media spins things. But there's one war.
And the enemy is the oligarchy.
Hold on. I need to let this cat in. And now maybe I'm just hearing stuff. Darren, I don't think there's a single positive angle to it. There isn't. I mean, just the fact that they got a program up like this going, I don't care who it was, Biden, you know, I don't care. I don't care. The politicians are not important. I hate to break it to you. They're just not. It's the policies and the people that they help. And getting free Wi-Fi access to rural poor kids to help them do their school and stuff is so vital, so vital. Oh God, I want to play Dirty Money. Oh man, listen, you should just, you know, try not to show off how little you comprehend what we're talking about. This isn't Wi-Fi at school, buddy. It's Wi-Fi for them to do their homework, but that's okay. You know, I didn't read this in all fairness, and some people can't read. Again, why I think people should have Wi-Fi at home to do homework. And it's even more amazing that somebody would make the argument, oh, no Wi-Fi at school, how dare them? What's next, no cable in prison? Like, do you not hear what you're saying? We live in the year 2025. Wi-Fi is essential in all of society. And you're like, oh, they don't have Wi-Fi at school? Well, no, that's not what we're talking about. But, you know, that would be nuts. If a school wasn't connected to the internet, but I guess you're just like, oh, work harder. And this is what I mean. I'm guessing you're like 20, you know, and you just don't give a rip. And, you know, you think because maybe your future doesn't look right that you want other people to suffer. And that's really where a lot of this stems from. You know, it's people so hating on themselves that they, you know, I just couldn't imagine. But of course, leave it to America to hear free Wi-Fi access to kids in poor rural areas at home so they could do their homework. And some people were like, oh, you know, so sorry couldn't have that Wi-Fi. Good luck getting smart, dummies. You know, it's just, my Christ, people. Do you hear yourself? I don't know if you think it's cool or tough or I don't know what you think. Coming in here being like, yeah, sucks to be those kids. They should maybe work harder. It's like, really? That's your thing? It just also, you know, it pulls the mask down when these people are also like, release the Epstein files. Well, they're not saying that anymore. Let's be very clear. As soon as Trump was like, listen, I'm all over those things. We're not releasing them. A lot of people fell right in line. You know, it's much easier to be obedient than it is to think. And a lot of these people are proving that. They're proving that as long as I can be obedient and just say, yes, sir, we don't want them Epstein files. Yes, sir, what else are we attacking? You know? It's so much easier to be obedient than to ask questions, to think, to have compassion. You see Joe Rogan totally devolve into this like obedient state-sponsored podcast. You know, you don't question anything. Everything is the woke. I can't believe the woke is coming again. The woke monster. It's like, what is the woke, guys? Does anybody know? Does anybody know? I'd hate, maybe is Joe Rogan in a rural area and doesn't have enough money to access Wi-Fi? No, he plays those clips, those satirical clips where he thinks are real, and he proves that he gets fooled by the internet every day. But you'd almost think some of these people maybe don't have Wi-Fi, like they can't go, hey, what is actually considered woke? You'd think like maybe they have just no access to stuff, you know? They burned all their books, so how are they supposed to know? Hey, what's up, Chief? Over half of Americans are below average intelligence. Yeah. Some of these people. Joe Rogan really, he loves the billionaires. He loves. All right, I wanted to play this clip for you that I seen on Reddit because it was interesting. And so many people, it's Whoopi Goldberg. I think I linked it down below. I'm not sure, but it's on Reddit today. But it's Whoopi Goldberg. And she's talking about, it's funny because she sounds like a Republican. She sounds like one of these Republican senators where they go in front of Congress and they're like, I had to work when I got out of school and all these kids should too. And it's like, well, really? So you got out of elementary school and worked? Because like, what decade was that? Pretty sure you got to be 15 to get a work permit. I would know. But it's just amazing how, like, as long as it's not them or their kids, they don't give a rip. And Whoopie really sounds like, you know, one of them boomers, as they call them in this clip. But this dude does a good job dispelling this myth. So,
sorry, if you only want to work 4 hours, it's going to be harder for you to get a house.
Hold on. So she says hold on, I'm trying to, I don't know why the audio is weird on this. It's all the way turned up. And she says, if you only want to work 4 hours, it's going to be harder for you to get a house, right? Some of you were like, yeah, Whoopi, get him. You never thought you'd be aligning with Whoopi Goldberg. Well, just wait. I'll play it again.
Right. If you only want to work 4 hours, it's going to be harder for you to get a house. We busted our behinds. We had to bust our
Hi, Whoopi. I'm Freddie. I run numbers on the internet, and I got to show you something. The minimum wage in 1980 was $3.10. It is now $7.25. The average salary was $12,500. It's now $59,000. And the median household income was $22,000, and now it's only $77,000 for a 3.5 times increase. However, rent was $243 on average. Now it is $1,900 for a 7.8 times increase.
So rent has gone up 8 times, while the minimum wage has only gone up 2.3 times.
The median house price was $47,000. It is now $419,000 for an 8.9 times increase.
So an 8.9 increase in house costs. Mind you, the minimum wage, which sets the tone for every other company to pay, and I always try to teach people, the reason there's a minimum wage is because if companies could pay you less, they would. Thank God for regulations. I know all the libertarians want to get rid of the regulations, but if we didn't have those regulations, your salary wouldn't be what it is, and the minimum wage would probably be less than what servers are getting right now, okay? But again, so many young white men that love Patty Bet David are libertarians, and they don't want the government in their business, even though they don't own a business, and the one they work for would pay them nothing. If they could. They would make you work for free. And if you don't believe me, go look up what the biggest theft is in America. You might think, oh, well, it's got to be criminal theft. It's got to be some people. It's not. It's wage theft. Wage theft is the largest theft in America. Why? Because again, if these corporations could pay you less, they would. Regulations and the government says, nope, there's a minimum, there's a bare minimum, and then it's staggered up from that, which all of us are underpaid because no one has kept up with the 25% loss in our money that has just accumulated in the past 5 years. No one, okay? And if you're like, I got a 26% raise, prove it. Leave it in my comments, take a picture of it, leave it there. I want to see proof because I know y'all can chirp in the comments, but I need you to understand this, okay? So a house price in 1980 to now has gone up 8.9 times. Meanwhile, the minimum wage has only gone up 2.3 times. And if you're going minimum wage, you're not supposed to be shut up. Let me stop you there. FDR said, yes, minimum wage was meant for a decent living, not a bare subsistence living. That is from his speech. So the minimum wage back in the 80s, you could work it and fucking live.
And the big one, college, was $2,300. It is now $30,000, 13 times more.
13 times more expensive to get educated. Let me just play this clip of the president telling you who he loves.
Educated, I love the poorly educated.
He loves the poorly educated. And if you don't think that this is all by design, interesting enough, the definition of woke, then maybe you're not paying attention. Maybe you should stop watching Tim Pool.
Expensive. Our median household income, to feel like they did back then, for rent should be $171,000 for the family, and for college, it'd be
So did you just hear that? The median, although it should be medium. Maybe we'll do a change.org to change a word. The median, that means all the averages combined should be 171,000. I think it's something like 40,000 right now in America. Did you hear that? For all the people who are like, I make that and I'm a lawyer. It's like, yeah, we should all be making that and you should be making much more. You know what I mean? Because when I say, hey, the minimum wage should be $66 an hour, what people hear a lot of the time is they go, oh my God, that's more than I make, and I'm highly educated, and I'm a skilled trade laborist. And it's like, oh, you're hearing me wrong. What I'm saying is the bare minimum should be this, and you should be paid more than that, okay? And corporations shouldn't be allowed to charge exorbitant rates and have the profit margins raised like they have been over the past few years. They shouldn't be making historic profits. They shouldn't. This shouldn't be a time for record profits. It should be a time for community, okay? Where we're all able to afford egg and we don't have to all chip in like we have been.
Equivalent to our family making $286,000. And to remind everyone, the median household income is $77,000.
So the median household income, he says, is $77,000. It should be almost $100,000 more.
Whoopie, with all due respect, I think millennials and Gen Zs have it at least 8 to 10 times harder than you.
8 to 10 times harder than you did. So listen, go check that clip out on Reddit today. It's in the Facts and Logic subreddit. Because I'm tired of hearing people say just work harder, just this harder, just that harder. Right now, what you're understanding is everything. This is what I don't get. When people are like, hey man, it's just inflation, you know, prices rise over time. It's just what you expect. And I go, how come they say that? But when I go, what about the cost of labor? They're like, oh, no. What do you want to pay? What do you want to pay? $20 for a Big Mac? It's like, well, you just said the cost of things rises over time. How come the cost of labor doesn't? Do you think that's by design? Do you think that's the system? Do you think it's weird that Congress, Republicans and Democrats, have both given themselves raises multiple times over the past since 2009 and never once bumped up the federal minimum wage? No one should have to live in poverty. If you want to work a minimum wage job, you should be able to own your own home, live comfortably, live decently. And that's just like the bare minimum. This isn't a controversial thing, but somehow in America, there's these like 20-year-old hardo white dudes and these like 50-something-year-old hardo white dudes that think like, well, I'm doing fine, so screw all of you. Like somehow other people doing okay would take away from their doing okay. It's incredible, man. And here we have them. We have them in the chat. But this ain't, I hate to break it to you, this ain't the podcast for you. This is whatever this is called. This just isn't, you know? It's not a debate. These are facts. And my proof is, look at the past 30 years in America. It led us to a Trump second presidency. So many people were like, well, I just need something different. Shit isn't going good if you elect a guy that lies all the time in the Epstein files and runs a meme coin. If Biden was like, I'm launching a meme coin, you guys would have short-circuited. You would have glitched. You would have lost your damn minds. And somehow you're like, hey, that, you know what? I'm going to buy into the meme coin. I'm going to let the president take all my money in this rug pull. It's just amazing, man. An 18-hour minimum wage isn't a minimum wage. Did you not hear me? $66 an hour. Pay attention, folks. Pay attention. My Christ. Oh. No, Josh. The proof of just trust me, bro, is what your government says to you. That's when they go, hey, we droned another boat in the Caribbean. Just trust us, bro. That is a bad ship. Just trust us, bro. And then you can read about the interviews of the wives who their husbands went out to go fishing and never came home. I don't do just trust me, bro. I say, how long have you been alive? I've been around for quite a few decades. And what I'm telling you is America's gotten worse. Worse and worse and worse. It is not getting better, including this year. That's why everybody voted for Donald Trump the first time. Do you not remember this? They were like, we got to make America great again. They were like, it sucks. That was the whole motto. The whole MAGA thing was America sucks. We need to make it great. Right? And the reason he needed to come back for a second time is because they couldn't make it great. And you're not going to make it great with a Democrat or Republican. I hate to break this to people. This is the shocker for all. Even if right now we have all Republicans, the soy boy farmers in Arkansas are going out of business. They're sending $20 billion of our tax money to Argentina. I don't know. They're doing all this stuff, taking free Wi-Fi from poor rural kids that their parents probably voted for Trump. They're doing all this stuff that is making America worse. They're letting the robber barons have full control of the country, okay? Now, the only way to make this better is a rejection of this system, because if we vote for all Democrats, we're not getting universal health care. We're not getting UBI for when the robots take over. We could just make art and the robots can do all the work. Okay? They're all paid for by the same robber barons. You understand me? And this is the whole, oh man, come on. This is the whole thing people don't understand when they're like, I gotta dunk on a lib, man. We gotta own the libs, man. It's like, you don't. They're on your team, you know? Have you heard much from the Democrats lately? You know? They really doing anything to help? They're Republican light, guys. But if you've been around in America, maybe if you're just waking up, you just got out of a coma, maybe you're like, oh, I don't know what's going on. But if you've lived in America, if you watch Stranger Things and you're like, I remember that shit, man. I remember riding bikes and playing board games and feeding that little strange girl that we found in the woods waffles. Like, if you remember the 80s where everybody had a strange girl with paranormal powers and we had to feed her waffles, that was like just the 80s, man. And then we had Falcor, our dragon that we would take to school. But if you remember that stuff, then you know, to now, America's not, maybe for you, you're like, well, for me, you know, my parents had generational wealth. It's been fine. You know, I'm teetering on the edge. But there's a reason the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal, one of them created the word rich-cession, because rich people were feeling the recessions. The reason we keep having recessions, keep bailing out banks, is because this is a capitalist flaw. And there will be people that will probably say, oh, communism, socialism, freak out. I need you to be scared of these words. And I would encourage you to understand what the socialism is. If you don't like it, then you should want to disband the military. Hate to break it to you. But I would just encourage you to stop using scare words, stop using scare tactics, stop preying on people's fears, and start understanding that we need a radical change. A radical change. We can't keep doing incremental things and expect something to be different. We can't keep being like, hey, let's just try more deregulation, and maybe if we deregulate a little bit more, it will trickle down. It's not going to happen. I hate to break it to you guys. I love to break it to some of you. I hate to break it to the others. But none of this stuff, man. Anybody who's been alive since the 70s or 80s can tell you they've lived through more generational things that they want to. More recessions, more bubbles, more bailouts for all the other people, not them. And then when it comes time to help the little people, literally little people, the richest people in this country with the most power are like, we're going to rip that free Wi-Fi away from these school kids. We're going to rip the one thing that helps these little tykes play their math games, or I don't know, what are they doing? I don't know what they're doing on the computers, but God bless them, because, you know, the future is computer. I heard someone once say, oh, God damn, this free version of this. I heard someone once say,
Everything's computer.
and if everything's computer, folks, you know what that means. You need to know how to use the computer. Oh, Chris, we miss you. We miss you, Chris. This guy was given the actual reasoning for Carr's decision like 10 minutes ago and has yet to even acknowledge it. What do you think? What they tell you means something? Really? So you trust the administration who tells you stuff? Really? You trust Donald Trump? Really? Show me how stupid you are, bud. Remember when he was like, I'm releasing the Epstein files. Hey, you're stupid and weak if you still want to follow the Epstein files. I don't care what they say. I have this little thing in life where I go, well, have I tried to trust them before? Did they lie to me? Do their actions meet what their words are saying? Oh, no? Okay, then I don't trust them. Donald Trump is the least trustable dude throughout history right now in America. He is constantly I don't know, saying stuff like,
Don't take Tylenol.
Azerbaijan and Albania.
I said, well, let's see how we say that. I said, Minifin.
the only thing I'll trust is when he says,
Everything's computer.
turns out it is. When he tells me that, there's 341 million people in America, but last year.
And the fact that 300 million people died last year from drugs, that's what's illegal.
So it's pretty weird. And again, we see the people who are absolutely proving my point, where they're like, oh, don't trust the Democrats, huh? No. What I'm telling you is the politicians are there to make you feel like you have a little bit of say, a little bit of power. When Donald Trump tells you stuff like, hey, I got the biggest heart and I'm working for the American people, you should see what he's actually doing. I would say these are American people and they're going to be future American citizens who vote and have to do stuff like that. And he's saying, I know you can't afford the Wi-Fi and you need it for your schooling. And that would be, I don't know, crucially important to any president or just any adult, making sure kids have the access and the tools they need to learn, and they're going after it. I don't care what your reasoning is, unless it's like, we're trying to, no, there is no reason, because you wouldn't take it away. I was going to say, unless they're like trying to take it away for something better, but you wouldn't take it away. You would be like, we're going full bore ahead. So my point is if you're looking for them to give you a reason, you are the one of the ones that I'm saying. It's easy for you to be obedient than to think for yourself. That's a lot of people right now. They're like, it's just easier to be obedient, man, and hope that, I don't get targeted at some point. Oh, you will. Oh, you will. They don't care about none of us. And what I'm trying to get you to see is, like, if you're waiting for the reason that they took the free Wi-Fi from poor kids in rural areas, you're just waiting to be obedient. You're not obedient in advance, where there are a lot of people who are. A lot of people are like, I don't care what they say. They're right. We're dunking on the libs, man. Libertarians all the way. There's a lot of people like that right now. And then there's a lot of people who say, just give us, like, some kind of reason, Like when Pam Blondie was like, the files are on my desk, and then she was like, it doesn't exist. And people were like, I don't think it exists anymore. They just needed something to repeat. Why do you think he's regurgitating all this bullshit to everybody 24/7? Why do you think the dude's on TV more than ever? When he's not, people are like, is he okay? Because he needs to tell you stuff so you can fall in line, be obedient, and be a good little boy in the tweets, and retweet it all, and recomment it all, and just amplify that message. My goodness. Indy Moss, hello. Yeah. Why wouldn't you vote for Harris? You know how everyone was complaining about egg prices, and right now groceries are making it stressful for 86% of the country? Harris last year was campaigning on price gouge controls. Maybe you don't understand what that is. That means she wouldn't let these companies all coordinate to raise the prices together, so we're screwed. It used to be illegal in America. Now they just use AI, like the rental apps, these landlords, they just use AI. They're like, hey, I understand we're all supposed to be against each other, but if we all work together and set the prices together, we could make a lot of money. And they're doing that in America. And Trump and his FCC and his CFPB, they dismantled it all so they wouldn't go after these corporations when they rob you and they robocall you and they fee you to death. Oh, God. I love it. So he says, there is no files. Prove me wrong. Oh, well, I could. I might want to take some time. Well, actually, hold on. What was this? Oh, look at this. I want to show you this. Some good news. Sweden is increasing its forest biomass, even as one of the world's largest leading paper exporters, thanks to strict laws requiring at least 2 trees be planted for every 1 cut down. Active management has doubled forest volume over the past century. We could be doing stuff like that. We could be doing stuff like that. But, there's a bunch of people who are like, those files don't exist, man. Prove me wrong. These people. Oh, these sorry people. It's so sad, man. It's so sad. It was kind of funny, too. If you step back for a second, you stop thinking about how, our society is crumbling. Our society is crumbling to pieces. And there's people like ushering it in, helping it get to that point. It's kind of hilarious, you know? It's almost like a poorly written comedy. Well, here's something out of the files. Maybe you haven't seen this. It's a beautiful poem. Beautiful as in very creepy. Where Joe Rogan, could you read some of this to us?
Enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? And Jeffrey, as a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you.
Gross. These people are gross. J Money, yeah. They're bots, you know, from Azerbaijan and Albania. All right, guys. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm going to try to go live later, but this is brutal, man. You know, you should understand that it doesn't matter who the politician is. Nobody should be for taking away free Wi-Fi from kids, poor kids. We should all, you know, united as a country, be like, hey, we should all support free Wi-Fi for poor kids. You know, they deserve internet too. It doesn't matter what family they were born into. Just because Donald Orange crap turd probably smells really bad, you know, had a really rich father, doesn't mean he gets Wi-Fi and these kids don't, you know? We can afford it. We just sent $20 billion to Argentina. We can totally afford this. I don't mind my tax money going to this. Even if their parents voted for Trump. Maybe their parents will go online and read something and get educated. My Christ, man. All right. These people, man. I still can't get over the amount of people that are like, I don't care. Let these kids suffer. Let these kids grow up dumb. It's unreal. I hope Jesus comes to you in a dream like the ghost of Christmas future and he wakes you up, because especially if you're one of those who believe in Jesus and then saying like, oh, kids shouldn't have that. That shouldn't be a right for kids. Yeah, it should be. This is America. You know? What does America mean to you? That Facebook gets to decide everything? That Amazon gets to set everything and everybody's got to pee in a bottle? Get out of here. It should be awesome for the kids. Kids shouldn't have to worry about that. Kids shouldn't have to have their parents be stressed about bills. Man, this is America. Get out of here. And if you're not agreeing with that, you know, I want you to do some real thinking. You won't reflect. You just wait for the next order to be obedient. But for the rest of you, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'll be back later. Peace.